All right, let's talk surveys. A few weeks ago, I sent a survey with a few questions to customers for the last 90 days, I believe. Maybe 120, but I think 90. And it was a pretty short survey. I personally, when I get surveys, if they're too long, I'm busy. I don't have time, right? So I purposely kept it short. And I asked for a couple pieces of feedback that weren't required. So I think the only required stuff were the like 1 to 5 type questions, but there were only a couple of those. And I want to go through the comments that I got from a feedback perspective and provide some thoughts that I have on them. I really appreciate people taking time out of their day to respond to this because that helps me understand what I can do better, what processes I need to address, what things I don't even know about are problematic, right? And so I did ask if anybody wanted to work with me on any of this to leave me their email address. And so I'm going to send this video to those people directly, but also address their feedback individually with them. So first question was just a satisfaction rating 1 to 5, a few 3s, some 4s, and a lot of 5s. I think the 3s were related to some of the issues in the next question that folks filled out. The trend that I see here is too many pupa in the shipments of live mealworms. So the satisfaction rating question was, what could I do to improve your satisfaction score of 1 to 5? And so a couple of people mentioned things like less worms turning to pupa when I received them. My second order turned to pupa almost immediately, all turned brown and died within a couple days. More gut loading with moisture for the trip. And then there were a couple more about too many pupa. Here's what I think is happening with the pupa. About 6 months ago, I got a new mealworm sifter up and running in the farm. And what it's allowed me to do is separate more finely than before. And so what I think is happening is the larger mealworms, because I don't spray with chemicals and I have not yet found a way to stop them from pupating naturally, I think that my mealworm ratio or mix started to lean more towards the larger side. What I found is when I would sift with the sifter, the mediums would come out and they just needed to grow a little bit more. And so I put them back into the system, back into the process, more bran, let them grow. And I think what happened is they were growing, I guess, too fast, because once they were collected and then shipped out, they started to pupate. Pupation can happen because of stress, because of size, lack of hydration, which one person put feedback in here on. I don't think it's the lack of hydration. So I always include hydration in the bags when I'm shipping so that they've got something to get some moisture from on the trip. I think it was that they were just larger than they have been in the past. And so I've been more cognizant to watch for that. It's 100% my fault, 100% my fault, just not recognizing that that was happening. The other thing that helps larvae to pupate is heat. And so I think several of these were during the summer before it's cooled down recently. And so I think all of those factors combined to just getting a lot of pupa. If that happens to you in the future, please reach out to me. Please let me know. I don't look at this as I don't take it personally. You're helping me, you're not hurting me by reaching out and saying, hey, something's going on. It doesn't matter what's going on. But if you're getting too many pupa, I want to address that. And so please feel free to reach out to me. Again, it doesn't hurt me, it helps me. Pupas were in there. You could mail out to your customers the tools you sell to make raising mealworms easier. was one of the pieces of feedback I got. I did at one point sell the mealworm sifter. I don't anymore. It was just too intermittent. It's another thing to have to keep around and manage and keep in stock, and it wasn't something that was beneficial for the business to have all that in storage and to deal with it. And so I stopped selling that. But I think the other thing, though, is that the tools that I use aren't applicable to small micro mealworm farms. Even the DIY sifter I used previously to the machine, it isn't something that I would recommend that anyone really needs. The bucket sifters are fine. I don't sell those. You can get those online. The other tools that I use, like the Pupa sifter, spacecoastmealworms.com. I used that for 6 or 7 years before moving to a Pupa sifting machine. So I don't know what tools I could offer or sell because I'm not using a ton of tools. I use a scale. It doesn't make sense for me to manage that and ship that or deal with that. Add margin on top of it for the time and effort to ship it. That doesn't make sense. So if there are some tools that you think would be beneficial or that you see me using and you would like that, please let me know and I can get you details on where they came from. This one I liked. Give advice on how to de-stress the worms from their travels after I pick them up from the post office. That was an interesting one. I think that what I would say to that is put them in cold storage. Get them in a fridge, regular standard human fridge, 40 to 45 degrees. Don't put them in the cold part in the back, right, where they're going to potentially freeze. But getting them in cold temps will help, de-stress them, per your question. The other thing is that will do is it will make them easier to unbag or to get out of the bag, because once they slow down from a cold perspective, they don't hold on to the paper and the bag, and so you can pop that open, empty them out, and then pull them off the paper, and it's a little less tedious because when they're warm and active and they're holding on to everything, it's kind of a pain in the neck, and I 100% understand that because I've done that many times myself, unpackaging returns. But then in the early days, I would order in to increase my colony size and I would have to deal with that, right? So 100% understand where you're coming from there. But other than getting them into good temps and potentially lower temps, once you've got them in storage, what I would recommend is hydrate them. So potatoes, carrots, something like that, peppers, cucumbers and tomatoes are a little too much moisture, but they'll work in a pinch. Just make sure you're not adding too much moisture. Let them eat for a few hours and then pull them back out. Pull the moisture sources back out, not the mealworms. All right, moving on. Quite a few folks provided feedback on what they're using the mealworms for, so that was helpful. It was really across the board. There wasn't anything surprising there. Packaging of the mealworms was rated well. Let me look at some of the feedback there. Some way to protect them. So I similar scenario. After the 1 to 5 rating on packaging, there was 1, 3, and then everything else was 5s. And then the packaging feedback, what could be improved about the packaging, was just a free text field. And so some way to protect them from extreme heat during hot months. That would be, in order for me to do something like that, we would be looking at cold packs, which are, 1, it's an added cost. 2, it's another item for me to manage and keep in stock and keep cold and add in. There's the potential to use simple things, like a frozen water bottle. The problem with things like that is that it causes extra weight, which increases your shipping cost. If there's any sort of leakage or problem with that or sweating from it, the boxes don't do well with it. So then it turns into a scenario of, do you use an insulated box And honestly, those can just generate heat and make things worse if the cool pack or ice pack doesn't maintain temperature. And so, unfortunately, I don't think there's a good fix to this. There's a ton of holes in the box. I only use mesh bags and newspaper, blank newspaper now, to help that heat ventilate out. I did add holes to the top of the boxes as well during the really hot months to really help get that heat out of the box. But if anybody has any thoughts on potential ideas with that, please let me know. Another suggestion, it would be nice to be able to put something on the package that said, call customer at phone number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for pickup. With the hold for pickup process that I do, some folks have asked that they request the post office to call them when it arrives. I'm not a big fan of this, and I'll tell you why. Postal workers are awesome. They are overworked and underpaid and understaffed. And I feel like putting a burden on them to call you when your package arrives is a bit much. My recommendation is to go to USPS.com and set up the tracking number alerts to text you to your phone. And then you'll get the alert of when it's there and when it's ready to pick up. Maybe this is just me. I'm kind of a weird dude, right? So if this is just me and I'm overthinking this, I'm curious to hear what everyone has to say about that. But the reason I haven't really enabled that is because I don't want to put that burden on the post office. But I can understand why folks want that. Other feedback about packaging, everything seemed okay, well packaged. Somebody did mention that there was a small hole in the bag, one of the bags that they received during one of their orders. That does happen from time to time. These things are made manually. It's just a manufacturer defect. Very low probability and likelihood that this occurs. But again, if it does, please reach out to me and let me know. It's good to have numbers on when this type of thing happens. So again, you reaching out and telling me, hey, Mealworms got out of here, I don't look at that as a bad thing. It helps me, it doesn't hurt me. If all of a sudden I have a high occurrence of this, I can go back to my bag manufacturer and say, hey, what is going on? So data is always good. And again, I do not take that stuff personally. So that was, there's other comments in here about, everything was great and all that fun stuff. And I really appreciate folks saying that. I personally try not to let that get my head too big. So I'm not glossing over it. I'm not ignoring it. I really appreciate the positive feedback as well. And then I asked for the second to last question. I asked for something that's meaningful to you, whether that's new items, offers, something else that you would enjoy on your next order. And so a few of the things here were interesting. A few folks said discount offers for regular subscription customers or just discount offers. My response to that is join the newsletter list. This week, I actually I've been sending them weekly for a month and a half or so. The one I sent today was actually the first one in a month and a half that hasn't had a deal or, like a percentage off, a buy one, get one free. I think last week was buy medium mealworms and get free small mealworms. And so I think, join that newsletter to get that. I don't spam you. I don't use that as a gateway to then, make money for myself. It's just to let you guys know about inventory, about deals, and to provide some additional reference information. I'll plug a YouTube video of mine in there every now and then. I just started a section on research and my analysis of research stuff related to mealworms and frass. So trying to get you guys some good information along with just inventory availability and any deals that I've got for you. Another person said black soldier fly larvae, frozen or dehydrated. I am doing a small test of soldier fly larvae on food waste and bokashi. And so I'll see how that pans out. If that does well, then we're going to ramp that up, collect post-consumer food waste, feed that to, or run that through the bokashi process to ferment out all of the bad stuff, then feed that to the soldier fly larvae, grow them out, and then we'll have them available, likely live. I'm not freezing or dehydrating stuff at the moment, but I'm open to hearing about the freezing part. That could be interesting. Next one, I sort of touched on here, but the issue is that my issue from this person is that I never know if I can order 1,000, 2,000, or 5,000. Inconsistency makes it hard to plan. Plus, it gets expensive to order 1,000 or 2,000 at a time. Started raising my own, so I only order from you when I need to supplement. 100% understand. The way that the website is set up, I need to do a website revamp. But from an inventory perspective, it doesn't show you how many is out there and which ones are available. So when I get low on inventory, that becomes a pain in the neck. I'm tackling that in two ways. One is join the newsletter so that on Wednesdays you get a notification on mealworm availability or what's going on. There are some weeks where if something happens and I get real busy, I may not be able to harvest and restock until Thursday or Friday. Lately, that's been running on time. By Tuesday, Wednesday of the week, I know that what I have and what's available to ship the following week. The other thing that I want to do and need to do is just redo the website to make it easier to see what's available, what's not available, so that's a little faster for you. 100% agree, and it is on my radar to tackle that. Next one was always on the hunt for a good deal, but understand it's not easy for small businesses to offer maybe a bug sampler box for chickens. See what other kinds of bugs my chickens would enjoy would be interesting. Once the soldier fly larva stuff are going, I think that I will have combo deals with that. Because I raised those last year in the summer, raised the soldier fly larva and sold those, figured out how to ship them, figured out how to raise them. And so very similar process that should meld or mesh well with shipping the mealworms. Beetles was one of the things folks were looking for. Beetles are more available than previous months. Somebody said new items. I'm assuming different bugs and whatnot. Unfortunately, I'm going to focus on mealworms and soldier fly larvae. I don't have any long-term plan to add anything else. Some info on care and storage of mealworms. So I will get that on the website. That'll be something that I will be working on and getting that posted. So I appreciate that feedback. Someone did mention to see the return of dried mealworms. I did dried mealworms for a very short amount of time, 2 or 3 years ago. I won't be doing that again. I cannot compete with overseas prices. I would have to charge you more than what it costs for live mealworms. So you're let's be honest, you're not going to pay me that, right? I wouldn't pay me that. Because on top of, like, once I collect the live mealworms, now I have to use electricity to dehydrate them, use labor to dehydrate them, use a different type of packaging to put them in, and then store them and ship them. So all of those extra things increase the cost. Everything you're buying now, 99%, 98% of it is imported. And I cannot compete with those prices. Detailed care instructions included with the mealworms would be nice, but not necessary. Howtoraisemealworms.com. I just revamped that and got that published. I will likely need to add in some detailed care instructions, like once you receive them. But after that, it's very, very flexible, almost too flexible. And so that howtoraisemealworms.com will have information to help out with that. Yep, and then emails from folks that wanted to be contacted, so I will reach out to you, to those folks. But yeah, those were the responses I got from the survey. I really appreciate folks, again, taking time to get me that feedback. Gave me quite a bit to think about and improve on. And so if you are one of those folks, thank you. And I think that is where we will wrap things up. I do plan on sending a survey to folks who ordered and haven't come back. I'll check for doubles on that to make sure I'm not pinging folks multiple times. But I think I'm going to try to make this a routine thing where I reach out to folks who have ordered and just kind of ask questions in a very simple way to see what I can do to improve. If you have anything you'd like to see or have any feedback here about the improvements and my thoughts, leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to tackle them and answer them. Thank you.